Singapore is a very small city. In fact, so small that people call it the little red dot. But then the little red dot here experiences the same challenges and also opportunities as many big nations like Australia and so on. We face the same active health issues, active citizenship, active nation, but we are very, very focused to get things right. So as we started recognizing the value of sport to the nation, to the community, to the individual, we started to move in I would say, an integrated solution, a system, and a multi-year journey pathway. Now, this approach here meant that we started tracking things that were kind of pre-2004, before the initiative started kicking in. So at that point in time, pre-2004, we had probably about 30-40%, about 30% of physical activities. People who played sport or had some activities, maybe infrequently to frequent, once, twice, 3 times a week, and that's about 30+%. At that stage, we knew that putting numbers for future generation or future targets makes sense, but it is actually the transformation of the consumer as a whole, looking at software, hardware, and also the hardware that will actually help us transform and transition. So Active Singapore tried to address the entire system of hardware, software, and also the hardware of us in Singapore being able to cope and to sustain and to progress in our system and our society. We naturally look for the next increase, 5%, 10%, but during the 2004 to 2010 period, we were pushing quite a bit of a multi-dimension programs. And we started hitting numbers even closer to 50%. And then it started going up to even past 50% to 60%. But then we at one stage, we realized that while this participation rate was going up, the non-communicable diseases contributed about 80% of the healthcare burden. With increasing healthcare costs, with the increase in population, it meant that we had to go back a little bit to the drawing board. So sport and health started coming together. Sport Singapore and the Health Promotion Board started working together, collaborating together from the standpoint of policies and activities and so on. In so doing, healthcare transformation started with strategies that move away from just healthcare to looking at the overall health and well-being. Active health started focusing on mindset shifts, deliverable model shift, and then also to ownership shifts. So these were all accumulated together into transforming ourselves to address for the next cycle. So in our belief, this is a journey. This is a journey that must not end, and it cannot end, and it also needs constant focus, because the moment you lose focus, the so-called metrics will go down. And this is how we do it in Singapore, and we try to keep up the momentum and to continue the communication messages through social marketing, through using big data, and through the activity-based system. It is I would say, a long-term systemic approach. There is no one magic bullet that will change something. So to begin with, if you analyze the Asian population, and the Asian population here comes from different ethnic background, different cultural background, and also different time zones, so to speak, some an age group and so on. But they all, if you look at the segments, generally have a common denominator. Common denominator in Asians are academic, a good job in the traditional sense of the word is more important than anything else. And that is a starting point that also hinders the opportunity to push sports. Now, but at the same time, it is not impractical to speak about good health and well-being and so on, whereby the common language of getting well-being of everybody is also understood, right? So if you take that and you say, okay, perhaps it is not the way the past has been, the way it's been communicated, but do more sports, play more sports, watch more, Aussie rules football, watch more soccer and stuff like that. It's not so much of that, or play more of that, but it's more about how do you transform the well-being, taking care of the person. And I think everyone understands that. Now, perhaps also another way to explain is that in the youth of today, it's very similar across the world. And in Singapore, we can share one example. If you talk about the teens, the youth and the teens, they no longer follow the advice of the adults, whether parents or relatives or teachers. In fact, peer pressure and peers is very, very big. So if kids at the age group, if they can play sport, it's great. If they cannot play sport because they lack the fundamental skills, they would rather not play than embarrass themselves. So in such key learnings, it also means that you have to go backwards to the early stage of life to ensure that fundamental skills are introduced. Run, jump, catch, throw, etc., etc. Because those fundamental skills, when transformed into the teenage group, they either have it or they don't have it. And they will continue play or they don't play. And that's a very hard-nosed, hard-stop approach there. And I think for us, we learned that to say that you got to address the so-called the pathway of the human being, so to speak, to address it. So I think the logic for doing so and the language of explaining how you want to transform our programs to help the well-being, this will be fully understood. And I think this would be my little advice to Australia.